Picture this, an abandoned countryside house with two children's bodies buried, creating a mysterious triangle at the crime scene. A crazed mother hides naked in a barrel, and a father who believes he's fighting a battle against a secret cult that wants to take his children. No, this isn't a horror movie, nor a story from the deep web, this is real. Welcome to the story of the Godella Massacre, the ritual crime that shocked Spain and left us with more questions than answers. Gabriel and Maria had been together since 2011. While they appeared like any other couple, things were very different in private. They spiraled into madness, paranoia, and religious delusions that ended in the worst way. In 2017, they illegally took over a house in Godella. Since then, they withdrew from the world, becoming increasingly trapped in their beliefs. Gabriel believed in reincarnation and in the purification of the soul through death. His obsession led Maria, an emotionally vulnerable woman, to immerse herself in a world of paranoia, fear, and shared delusions. For Gabriel, the world was controlled by dark forces. They believed there was a secret cult they called the You. This cult supposedly stalked them at night. He believed these entities wanted to take his children. Maria began believing the same thing as her partner. The paranoia grew to the point that at night they slept with knives nearby, watching over the house, convinced that at any moment they would be attacked. And if they couldn't avoid the cult's attack, they had only one option left: to kill their children to save them. What you just heard is real. In their sick minds, they believed that if they killed them, they would be reborn on a higher plane. If Gabriel and Maria's paranoia was already worrying on its own, there's a factor that could have pushed it to the limit: drug use. The couple reportedly used psychoactive substances regularly, likely intensifying their delusions and further distorting their perception of reality. Some testimonies indicate that they used marijuana and other hallucinogenic drugs which would fit with the nature of their beliefs. It's no secret that certain substances can intensify paranoid thoughts, especially in people predisposed to mental disorders. In this case, the combination of schizophrenia, extreme mysticism, and drugs may have been the final trigger for his mind to cross the threshold of sanity. Amid the paranoia, Gabriel recorded a video singing a song. This video, which circulated on social media after the crime, showed Gabriel performing a melody that at the time might have gone unnoticed. But after the crime, it was viewed differently. For some, it was nothing more than a simple artistic performance. For others, it was a reflection of the mental state he was in. Maria's mother, the children's grandmother, already suspected that something strange was happening in that house. It wasn't just that her daughter was behaving strangely, but her mental state seemed to be deteriorating rapidly. With each conversation, Maria seemed more distant, more disconnected from reality. She spoke of conspiracies, hidden forces in the shadows, and the world's end. She was convinced that her children were in imminent danger, although she couldn't clearly explain exactly what it was about. What worried the grandmother the most was Maria's growing obsession with her mystical religious beliefs and her absolute devotion to Gabriel, who seemed to reinforce those ideas. The woman tried to make her see reason several times, but Maria didn't want to listen. Her mother, she felt, was trapped in earthly ignorance and didn't understand the truth. 20 days before the tragedy, Maria, Gabriel, and the children stayed overnight at Maria's mother's house. Early that morning, the woman woke up and saw her daughter and granddaughter Itzel were missing from the house. Alarmed, she went out to look for them in the darkness of the night until she found them in a nearby orchard. As soon as she saw her, Maria said coldly, "Leave me alone, I'm visiting my ancestors." Itzel was trembling and couldn't stop crying. The grandmother, worried, tried to pick her up, but Maria firmly forbade her. "She's crying because this house has bad energy." The next day, the family went to a psychiatrist looking for answers. After a 20-minute exam, the specialist found Maria showed no signs of psychosis. Alarmed by the situation, the grandmother went to social services and the police for help. It wasn't the first time she had expressed concern for the children's well-being, but her warnings were ignored. Despite her efforts, the authorities did not act. No one took her desperate cry for help seriously or acted on it. Just days before the crime, tragedy seemed inevitable. Maria messaged her mother, "Thank you, Creator. I'm leaving with you. Goodbye, Mom." She quickly called the police. The officers went to Maria's house, but they didn't see anything unusual. It was her final break with reality, the sign she was ready to take the last step. But once again, no one did anything to stop her. The night of March 13th, 2019 was the last for Emil and HL, a night that would forever mark the criminal history of Spain. At 10 p.m., Gabriel and Maria began what, in their delusional minds, they believed was a purification ritual. Before committing the atrocious act, what would their fates be? They took their children to the house's pool. It wasn't just any bath. For them, that moment had a spiritual purpose, to cleanse the children of any evil, to prepare them for transcendence. But that purifying bath was not the end, it was only the beginning of the horror. After taking them out of the pool, soaked and with their skin bristling from the cold, the real nightmare began. Without hesitation, without mercy, without any sign of sanity, Gabriel and Maria beat their children to death. The blows were brutal. Emil suffered multiple skull fractures. The impact was so strong that his head was completely shattered. There were no cries for help. There was no chance to escape, only a heartbreaking silence. Eichel, just 5 months old, had no chance. His skull was shattered in a matter of seconds. He was a completely vulnerable baby, without even the ability to understand that his life was being taken away by the very people who should have protected him. The children's wet bodies were dragged across the ground. The autopsy revealed a chilling detail. Amiel and Eichel's skin had marks showing they had been dragged across the surface of the ground. The moisture on their bodies caused the earth to stick to them, forming a mixture of mud and blood as their parents carried them to the graves where they would be buried. Each meter they were carried left dirt trails, stones in their skin, and tangled hair with earth. No gentleness or love remained, just two broken minds convinced they were on a mission. When they finally buried them, they didn't do it just anyway. It wasn't a simple improvisation. They placed them strategically, forming a triangle with the house. Eichel was buried 75 meters away, Amiel 150 meters away. Why? Was there some kind of hidden meaning in the arrangement of the bodies? Experts in mystical symbology have pointed out that in many esoteric traditions, the triangle is a representation of supreme power, balancing body, mind, and spirit. It's a symbol linked to transcendence and reincarnation. For Gabriel and Maria, this act could have been the culmination of their delirium. An attempt to ensure that their children didn't simply die, but ascended to a higher plane. In their distorted view of reality, they might have thought they were protecting them from a worse fate. That this triangle would act as a portal between this life and the next. The next morning, a neighbor saw Maria, naked and disoriented, running across the property as if fleeing something. Just a few meters away, she saw Gabriel in a yellow shirt holding a metal bar. The neighbor, terrified at the possibility that Gabriel was chasing Maria with violent intentions, didn't hesitate to call the civil guard. Officers arrived to a horrific scene. Gabriel, blood on his face, opened the door and told them, "They're all dead." Those were his only words. Quickly, the civil guard started a search operation to find Maria and her two children. They finally found Maria. Maria was completely naked, hiding inside a barrel, experiencing a bout of paranoid schizophrenia. She said she didn't know where her children were, that they should ask Gabriel. All the alarms went off then. After 9 hours of interrogation, Maria confessed and led them to the children's graves. 2 small graves in the ground. An officer cleared dirt from the grave, revealing a child's body. The case went to trial at Valencia court. The result? Gabriel received a 50-year sentence for 2 murders with kinship as an aggravating factor. He was never diagnosed with a disorder, he simply fueled his own extreme paranoia. Maria, on the other hand, was declared not criminally responsible due to severe paranoid schizophrenia. She won't go to prison, but to a psychiatric facility for 25 years. They were also ordered to pay 300,000 euros in compensation to the children's grandparents. The big question this case leaves is, what if someone had intervened earlier? The grandmother alerted social services, who had information. People knew something was wrong in that house, yet nothing was done. The Godella crime is terrifying not just for the brutal deaths of two innocent children, but also for revealing how distorted the human mind can become. Did they truly think they were saving their children, or were they just driven mad past the point of no return? Tell me your opinion in the comments, I'll be reading them.